Good morning, students. Welcome to this session on measurement of NAV and the conceptual clarity of net asset valuation. We discussed what NAV is all about and what is its relevance in the mutual funds schemes. We referred to the basic definition, fundamental concepts of net asset valuation, and even we saw the important concepts of NAV, like say the open-ended funds, closed-ended funds, and entry load, exit load, and other related conceptual clarity of the net asset valuation. Net asset valuation or NAV is really important when we look at the valuation of mutual funds and its performance, because in the present context, net asset value is calculated for respective fund on a daily basis, and it shows what is the relevant performance of your scheme in terms of risk and return. We referred to the theoretical and conceptual aspects in the previous class, but in the today's discussion we will have a look at quantifiable aspects about NAV and how practitioners calculate net asset value in the realistic terminology. We have got net asset valuation formulas, and there are three equations which we can use in order to find out how NAV will be calculated. Now, the basic net asset valuation formula is your mutual fund is sum total of funds, and the fund is divided into assets as well as liabilities, and we consider these two inputs as important aspect for the calculation of NAV. So the first equation goes like this: your NAV is equal to fund assets minus funds liabilities divided by outstanding units. So this is the comprehensive and aggregate equation for NAV calculation. But if you want to arrive at per unit valuation, then NAV per unit is equal to total assets minus total liabilities divided by number of outstanding units what the AMC has offered in the market. Now, why is it relevant per unit and aggregate? Because different stakeholders, different investors want to invest considering aggregate and per unit NAV calculation as such. So this is what the basics of it. We'll look at the next equation wherein we have been given the details. In this context, our total assets and our total liabilities were divided into different components, because when we take up realistically in the practical sense, we don't get the sum total of assets and sum total of liabilities, but what we get the individual components in terms of assets and liabilities. Now here in the form of equation we have segregated both assets and liabilities respectively, but when we do a problem you'll have to identify what are the liabilities and what are the assets, and you have to club them. So now look at this equation. Your NAV is again equal to, first we look at the asset components. So it is all about market value of your investment. Now what does this market value of your investment? It depends upon your mutual fund scheme. If your scheme is of equity oriented, that is the present value of that equity portfolio. But if it is a debt oriented, then what is the present value of that debt investment? And likewise, if the balance fund is there, then the component of debt, equity and other allocations as such. Then further, we have got certain receivables. Now what are these receivables? These receivables and accrued income are nothing but the investment what we have made. Those primary companies are going to give you interest or the dividend or certain returns on your investment. So this receivables and accrued income is nothing but the investment proceeds what we are going to get from the actual investments as such. Then the other thing is about the other assets. Now other assets are nothing but it would be something equivalent to cash, or realistically the cash in the bank, or any other asset which is not say considered to be part and parcel of the portfolio. So these all components make your asset side of your NAV calculation. Now we have to subtract this from the liabilities component. Now what are the liabilities? Your mutual fund company is going to incur certain expenses. So those expenses need to be deducted. and we have got certain payables. Now what are these payables? For instance, our old unit holders have redeemed their investment and we have to pay back, so that is payables. And other liabilities, something like statutory or non-statutory liabilities, what we have got, so those we have to pay it off. So we know what are the assets and we know what are the liabilities. So you take them, make a sum total of it, and you subtract each other, and whatever residual difference you get, that you divide by number of outstanding units. Now this is how we do practical calculations in your examinations as well as in your practical sense, because what formula we had in the previous slide, so those were more about theoretical in nature, but this is more practical when we deal with NAV conceptual analysis as well as the practical analysis of it. So we'll take up certain problems now, and based upon the given data we will find out what exactly this well, we have got this first example wherein we have been given the data, and the data related to a certain scheme, and based upon the given data we have to calculate the net asset value of a mutual fund scheme. So we'll just read across what are the components given it to us. Now we are given the data on market value of the fund. It is at rupees 1500 crore. We have got cash equivalent, that is rupees 2000, that is 25 crore. Accrued income is at rupees 15 crore. Then we have got liabilities at rupees 94 crore. We have got expenses at rupees 6 crore, and we have got outstanding units, that is 10 crore. So that is all given it to us, and based upon so this is what the data we have got. Now we have to use our NAV calculation equation, and we have to find out what is the NAV of this scheme when it comes to the actual context based upon the given data. Now totally we have got here about 6 heads or 6 components, and these we have to divide and segregate into the assets as well as liabilities and the outstanding units. Now whenever you do NAV calculation, first of all you try to look at the given data, then you find out do we have got common denomination with respect to the given numbers. Now here if you look into this example, all denominations are in the crore form. It is not written actually in the sense it is not real the full number, because 1500 crore means it is a big number. Even 25 crore means a big number. So they are not given those additional zeros, but rather they are given you directly the denomination. So all denominations are in rupee crore, and you have to consider this while solving all the example. Later we'll have a discussion on different denominations and how do we make it in the common denomination. But as far as possible in this example we don't have any problem of denomination. It is all in the same uniform form. The next thing what we have to do, we have to find out what are the assets we have been given and what are the liabilities we have got. And it is clear we have got 10 crore outstanding units under this scheme which the company has offered to it. So let us have a numerical example on this, and we'll solve it accordingly on the blackboard. Well, so we have been given the data, and based upon the data we have to do the NAV analysis. So in simple, what is NAV is all about total assets minus total liabilities, and this is whole divided by outstanding units. So in our given example, we have been given the data with respect to total assets and total liabilities. Now in this example, the market value of your fund is on the asset side, cash equivalent is on the asset side, and accrued income is also on the asset side. So all these three we have to take up and we have to make sum total of it. On the other hand, what are the liabilities? Your total liabilities consist of liabilities and the expenses. So this is what we'll have to consider, and your total outstanding units are 10 crore. So we'll make a note of it and we'll compute. So your total assets are nothing but market value of your fund, which is 1500 crore. Your cash equivalent is 25 crore, and your accrued income is 15 crore. So this is minus by your total liabilities. So liabilities are nothing but 94 crore plus 6 crore, and this is all divided by 10, because our outstanding units are 10 crore. So we make the sum total of it. So it is 1540 minus 100 divided by 10. So this is equal to, so it is 1440 divided by 10. So if you make it, so it is rupees 144 per unit. So this is the NAV applicable to the given example. So the NAV in this case is rupees 144 per unit. Well, so we further move to the second example, wherein you have been given this comprehensive data related to a mutual fund scheme. So the second example goes like this. From the following data, we have to compute the net asset value of a given scheme. So we'll just read across what are the details given. Equities, that is market value of equity, is given at this number, 8 crore 84 lakh 55,900. Then unrealized gains are at 55 lakhs 88,450. Cash is worth 2 lakh 9,430. Receivables for securities sold, it is 14 lakh 42,980. Dividend income receivables 4 lakh 34,760. Unrealized losses 31 lakh 4,250. Payable for securities purchased 9 lakh 50,400. Expenses payable 4 lakh 12,040 rupee, and total units in issue 1 crore 19 lakh 45,322. So this is the data what we have been given, and in the examination you will be getting data of a similar context. Now here we have got many heads. As compared to previous example, we had only 6, but here we have got more than 6, and there are many components applicable to assets and many components applicable to liabilities. Now referring to the given information, we have to make sure what falls under asset class and what is aggregated to the liability side. So in this example, your equities, that is the market value of your equity, is all about asset. Unrealized gains, so this is also part of your asset. Cash, anyways it is your asset. Receivable for securities sold, so this is important. You have sold the securities and you have to receive, so again it becomes income and it becomes asset. Dividend income receivable, it is also an asset, because you are invested in equity and equity shares give you dividend that is still realizable. So this is all about the asset class. On the other hand, when we come to unrealized loss, so the moment we look the term loss or expenses or expenditure, it is all part and parcel of your liabilities. So unrealized losses, then payable for securities purchased, expenses payable, so this is all part and parcel of your liability side. And the last one, it is total units in issue, and it is given in the numerical form accordingly. So now what we have to do, we have to again go back to our blackboard analysis, and we have to carry out the analysis of this given data, and we'll find out what is the NAV applicable to this scheme when it comes to the given data as such. So we'll look forward for details on it and we'll solve the problem now. Well, so we saw the data which is given it to us. Now we have to solve and we have to find out what is the NAV for this scheme. So again the formula remains the same. We are not dealing with that detailed formula where we are not going to mention what are the asset sides and what are the liability sides, but rather we'll make it numerical oriented and we'll make a note of it. So now here your total assets are sum total of your equity, unrealized gains, cash, then receivables and dividend. So we have to make a sum total of all this and we have to make the asset side of it. So what is it? So your equity is worth at 88,455,900 plus unrealized gains are 55,88450. Then your cash is 2,09,430. Then your receivable security sold is 1,44,298 and dividend receivable is 4,34,760. So this is all part and parcel of your asset. So we have to make a sum total of it minus liabilities. So what are your liabilities? So payable for securities purchase. So it is 9,50,400 plus expenses payable 4,12,040 and unrealized losses 3,10,000. So these are your losses. So now this is divided by the total outstanding units. So total outstanding units are 119,453,22. So this is the data what we have got, and we have to find out what is the sum total of this and what is the sum total of this, and then we have to make a division by this base value of it. So we'll do the sum of this and we'll make the analysis. Well, so we did the summation of all assets and summation of all liabilities. So the sum total of assets is equal to this, that is 96 crore 13 lakh. So it is 9 crore 61 lakh 31,520, and on the other side your liabilities are 44 lakh 66,690, and the number of units remain the same. So this what we did. Now further we have to take a difference of this. Now the difference of this will be 91,664,830, and the number of outstanding units are same only. So now we have arrived at asset minus liability difference, and we have got outstanding shares also. So when we do the further and the final calculation of it, we get the NAV for the asset, and it is rupees 7.67 per unit. So this is what the NAV applicable to this scheme, and if you realize the value is 7.67 and it is less than the face value of mutual fund, because in India the mutual fund schemes face value will be always rupees 10, but this is less than 10 rupees, so it assumes the fund is not doing better and it is not the best option to invest in the mutual funds. So this is how we calculate the NAV applicable to the given scheme based upon the given data. Well, so we further proceed with the next example. Now this example I'll only read it across and I'll leave you to you all to solve it, because it is similar to the first example what we did. So what is it? From the following information we have to calculate the net asset value for a scheme. The total assets of a fund rupees 2,200 million. Total liabilities of the fund rupees 200 million. And the total number of units outstanding are 100 million. So again, if you give attention to this problem and the given information, you would realize it is quite similar to the first example what we did it. So this example I'll leave it to you all and you can solve for your practice purpose. Now it is straightforward, because you have to take a difference of asset minus liabilities and you have to divide by the number of outstanding units what the company has offered, and there is no problem as such, because all the denominations are in the millions, so you need not to worry about conversion and all. So it is applicable in the common denomination. So this I'll leave it to you all and I'll do one more example, and later on I'll give it to you certain assignment oriented problem, those you can do at your home and we can recorrect it in the next session. So this problem you can refer to it and you can solve it at your home accordingly. So now we'll move further. So this is the next example, wherein we have been given the information on Axis Mutual Fund scheme and we have to calculate the net asset value of this scheme. So what are the heads given it to us? Market value of your equities is given, cash equivalent assets are given, unrealized profit is given, receivable for securities sold is given, dividend income receivable is given, then we have got unrealized losses, payable for securities purchased, expenses payable, and the total units in issue. So this is what the information we have got applicable to Axis Mutual Fund, and it is more similar to the problem what we did in the second example, because the information is elaborative and we have to account for assets and liabilities and we have to take the base as your number of units issued to us. So we'll take up this example and we'll try to find out what is the NAV of your Axis Mutual Fund scheme based upon this data. So we'll work out on the board now and we'll find out what is it. Well, so the equation remains the same. Your NAV is equal to total assets minus total liabilities and the outstanding units. Now we have to find out what falls under asset side and what is under the liability side. So as we refer to the example, we have been given the market value of your equity, we have been given the cash equivalent, we have been given the realized profit, receivable and dividend. So this is all part and parcel of your assets. On the other hand, your unrealized losses, payable for securities purchased, expenses payable, this is part of your liability. So we'll make a note of it and we'll find out what are the assets and what are the liabilities. So we'll make a group of asset components and then we make a group of liability component and we'll find out what is the sum total of respective heads under the given consideration. So we'll make a note of it. Well, so this is what the sum total of assets and sum total of liabilities. So we had market value of equity at 7 crore 53 lakhs 55,100. Then cash equivalent assets are at 5 lakh 1,302 rupee. Then we had unrealized profit at 31 lakh 57,150. Then the dividend receivable is receivable for securities sold is 24 lakh 42,980, and the dividend receivable is 33 lakh 12,280. So this is all part and parcel of your assets. On the other hand, what are the liabilities? We have liabilities in the form of unrealized losses, and that is amounted at 22 lakh 120 rupee. Then we had payable for the securities purchase, that is 10 lakh 50,300, and we had expenses payable at 3 lakh 25,000 as such. So this is what the breakup of your assets and the liabilities, and the number of outstanding units are 1 lakh. So we'll make a sum total of it, and we'll do the further calculation. Well, so the sum total of your assets is 8 crore 47 lakh 68,812, and the liabilities are at 35 lakh 76,420, and the outstanding units are 1 lakh. So now when you make a residual of it, so it is 81192,392 divided by 1 lakh. So the per it is 800 unit. So this is the NAV applicable to this scheme, and we can realize this scheme is relatively better than what we had discussed in the previous two examples, because the present NAV is 811.29, nothing but 812 rupees, and if you take into consideration the face value, which is rupees 10, then you have got a premium of 801 rupees. So this scheme is doing better, and the data shows that NAV calculation is done in this way. So this is all about NAV calculation, and considering the given data, you have to find out NAV in this regard per unit or on the aggregate basis. So we'll stop over here, and we'll discuss further the other concepts of NAV. Thank you all.